My psychologist says this is not cheating. My 20F boyfriend, 21 meters, says it is. My 20F boyfriend, 21 meters, together 5 years, suggested I post this. For context, he says I was feisty, but other than this I was the perfect girlfriend for the first 3 years. I went above and beyond, especially for how he treated me. He was not a great partner, but he always tried, and our good moments made me very happy. I was happy to put a lot of stuff in the past for us to work on issues and be great together. He says that the only reason he thought we would ever break up is if I break up with him because he does stupid, disrespectful things a lot. 2 years ago, both 18, my boyfriend had pushed me away for a year. He disrespected me a lot and my family refused conversation to fix our issues. I had a contraceptive implant that made me depressed for that year, which I had to get emergency surgery for, and he never helped me with this. I was lost about what I wanted for my professional future and felt pushed to go to university. For 34 months prior to going to university, I told my boyfriend, if you cannot be a better partner for me, how I've been for you, we are not going to last and it will lead to us breaking up. I went to university and very quickly became depressed, and I did things that I wouldn't usually do. I ate foods I didn't like. I was friends and hung out with people I didn't want to, etc. My psychologist explains this as an identity crisis. A different person doing things or leaving myself in situations that are not within my scope of personality. My boyfriend was disrespectful a number of times, and after the 4 months of him doing nothing or not speaking to me to change or make things better, I told him I need a break. Very minimal contact. For a week from him to decide if I will break up with him, which he had almost no reaction to. At the end of that week I broke up with him over text. This is completely wrong, and I have always felt terrible for this, but is something I wouldn't normally do. I've never been afraid of confrontation. 2 days later, to cheer me up, my friend had brought me to a gathering of some people she knew under the premise she would stay with me the whole time. I met a guy and he talked about how he's going through the same situation and is also heartbroken. None of our conversation flirty. The next day, we kissed. A couple days later I was in the same area as him and went to his accommodation. None of the conversation is flirty, and we watch a TV show and we kiss. He raped me that day. I find out later that he had a girlfriend and made everything up in our conversations. My then ex-boyfriend had been back and forth on if he even wanted to try with me. He very much wanted a conversation. I did too, and I went to see him. He still kind of wanted me, but I made it clear I couldn't be with him because of how he was with me. I find out he had already talked to a girl who had been a problem in our past. I was very angry and extremely upset. I left. Not much later, he does a complete 180 on his behavior and gives me a handwritten apology. I let him make it up to me, and he is being quite great for 23 weeks. He receives a message from the guy's girlfriend saying we slept together. For context, he immediately laughed this off because this is very unlike me to have done this and to not have been honest with him. He asks me about it and I admit the first encounter, a kiss, and I'm unable to speak about the second encounter. We move on from this, but he adamantly views this as cheating. He says because I wasn't honest, and tell him immediately that it is cheating. 2 years later, now together 5 years. We live together now and we deal with similar issues as before. We are just slightly more mature. His friend tells him that he has been told I slept with this person. I was visiting my family that week, and when I come back and walk through the door, he confronts me. As soon as he's done speaking, I tell him everything I hadn't told him. Seeing the guy a second time. Until the rape. I never talk about that. I have it locked away. I have never dealt with it. There were 3 weeks of him shouting vile things at me and being so insanely angry and horrible. On a Sunday after an argument, something clicked in me. I had felt fake and dishonest and not truly myself, and if I didn't do it now, I never would. I went to the police 20 minutes later. The police were the first people I ever told. I felt that if a claim was documented and now in the system, I couldn't lie anymore, and I was right. I haven't lied or been dishonest or hidden anything since. That day I felt traumatized and I felt free at the same time. I told my boyfriend that night I tried many times but couldn't, and I told myself if I didn't do it, now I would feel like I'm not being myself again. I couldn't say it, so wrote him a note saying, "He raped me." He immediately comforted me, and then an hour later and the next 2 days he was angry, saying the most horrible things a person can say. I felt like I was dying and called my family and told them I need help and that I was raped 2 years ago, and they came to get me. We live 4 hours away. It's been a month. The rape and guilt is why I have a therapist, psychologist now. My boyfriend didn't stop saying horrible things to me until a week ago. I said, "I can't come to see you and feel safe if this is how you behave." He wanted me to come back to the apartment alone 4 hours away, and he told me he wouldn't support me, and that I would support him and do whatever he wanted. He came to see me the past 3 days and we have talked. He calmed down and has not been rude. He has not supported me and 100% believes this is cheating. He said that when the situation happened it wasn't cheating, but that because I lied or wasn't honest that it was. He doesn't understand why I lied about anything. My therapist says this is a normal reaction for sexual abuse. I did understand how he felt it was cheating, and he kind of made me believe sometimes that I am just a cheater. My therapist says that lying about it doesn't make it cheating, especially since we weren't together. It just means that I lied. I had an aim to keep this very short but did not go as planned, lol. If you have any advice that would be lovely, but I also want to know, do you think this is cheating? TLDR. Boyfriend pushed me away for a year. For 4 months told him I couldn't put up with it and if this continues we would break up. I broke up with him. I had an identity crisis. 2 days later I met someone who lied and made it seem we were bonding about going through the same thing. No flirting. We kissed. Saw him again a few days later. He raped me. I was never able to talk about it. Boyfriend asked if I slept with him. I told him about the kiss the first time I met him. I couldn't talk about the second time and the rape. We got back together. 2 years later boyfriend confronts me and I admit to a second time seeing him but never speak about the rape. For 3 weeks he is quite verbally abusive. I can't take lying anymore and go to the police. I tell my boyfriend that night. He is not supportive and my parents come to help me. He believes this is cheating. Not because I did it, but because I was not honest. Am I a cheater? Based on the first couple paragraphs, the relationship sounds like a dumpster fire. And based on the comments, it didn't get any better. This guy seems like an asshole, and regardless if it was cheating or not, you shouldn't be dating him. Rape is never cheating. For the victim. And not talking about it is not dishonest. You need to be ready to talk about your trauma first. You can't just talk about it on command. Your BF sounds extremely toxic. And it's not healthy for you to be with him. The dude just sounds toxic as hell. Even if it wasn't rape, it wouldn't have been cheating because you weren't together at the time. It was though. So it makes it even worse. Can't even imagine bullying and harassing your own girlfriend who had that happen to her. If he felt hurt because you didn't tell him, he should have just communicated that in a civilized manner and left it at that. Even if it made him angry, he should have calmed down very quickly, realizing what happened to you. This behavior is absolutely unforgivable. Oh hun, your boyfriend is punishing you for being raped. I mean, just read that sentence. I hope you can leave him. You are worthy of love. You are worthy of happiness. You deserve so much more than his stupid ass. Please get away. Stay single for a bit. And focus on yourself and healing. You went through something traumatic and don't need to punish yourself with his presence. A real man wouldn't treat you like this. If you had been together, even still on break, I'd have viewed the kiss as cheating. But you weren't. Not together equals not cheating. Rape obviously isn't cheating in any case. Honestly, your BF sounds like a dick. And your relationship doesn't sound worth holding on to. I would love to see this post he supposedly made on Reddit where people were calling you untrustworthy. I'm interested to see how badly this asshole lied through his teeth to make people think that getting raped while not in a relationship is equivalent to being cheated on. Your boyfriend is a horrible person. Please get as far away from him as possible. 1. You are not a cheater. You guys were broken up. This is the only thing he can grasp at to abuse you. So he is trying. 2. He is emotionally abusing you. Stop going back to him. 1. If you're single, you can do whatever TF you want. 2. Being raped is nowhere near cheating. BC, you did not consent to it. Frankly, I don't think you should be with your BFBC. To speak up about being raped takes a lot of effort, and he is not putting himself in your shoes, which makes him a bad BF for not supporting you during this troubled time. I'm sorry you went through it. Be with supporting friends and a therapist. Ick how it feels. You need to let it out and not let it take over your life. Good luck. You did not cheat on him. You were split up, and you were raped, neither of which constitutes cheating. Your physiologist is very much correct. The fact that he now wants you to come back to the home you once shared and do everything for him? Field of red flags. You say that you have done everything you can to keep this relationship alive, but you need to stop all that immediately. Your ex-boyfriend has verbally abused you, emotionally manipulated you, and is now very angry that he no longer has that control over you. The very best thing that you can do is to leave the relationship altogether. Block him and continue to receive the help and support from trusted friends and family members. The ex is unhinged. You were raped. Dump your boyfriend. He is a bad person. Most people don't talk about their rape. Lots of people lie to cover it, by omission or otherwise. Whether that's out of shame or fear or an inability to face the injustice and hurt of it all. It happens. Your response was very normal. Your boyfriend's response is not okay, and you do not have to make it okay for him. Up. You're only 20. Put yourself first. Do you want the next decade of your life to be defined by how you showed up for yourself? Or how you tried to bend your life around somebody else's expectations? You and your BF are not the same kids that got together 5 years ago. You've outgrown your relationship. Get support for your trauma. And move away from your BF and onto a new chapter in your life. You're not a cheater. First, you need to be in a relationship in order to be able to cheat. Second, you need to consent to intimacy to be able to cheat, which you didn't do. You were raped and your current BF is being delirious. This man will only make your mental health and life worse. Such agreement on a thread is very rare. I hope you can believe it. This man is dangerous. Your mental health means nothing to him. What is your family saying? Do you feel supported? As a rape victim myself, let me assure you that 1. You did nothing wrong. 2. You were broken up, so it cannot be considered cheating. 3. All rape victims act differently and handle it differently. There is no wrong way of handling, and most of us do not tell others because we feel ashamed or guilty, even though we have nothing to feel ashamed or guilty for. The best advice I can give you is to break up with him for good. You admitted he has been a poor BF and has treated you horribly in the past, my gut tells me. Even though you don't think it has happened. But I believe he has cheated on you in the past or currently. And therefore is blaming you for cheating when you haven't, to make him feel better about what he has done. You deserve better than what he is giving you. You deserve someone who won't blame the victim. You deserve a man who will hold you and be there for you. This boy is not a man. And he doesn't deserve you. Have your parents take you to get the rest of your stuff and move in with them and block him on everything. Your boyfriend is calling it cheating because he wants to be the victim. Let that sink in. He wants to make himself the victim of your sexual assault. You might ask yourself, why would he want to do that? Well, because 1. It puts you on the defensive, giving him greater control in the relationship, and 2. It means he doesn't have to give you emotional support for the trauma. Remember, you went through emergency surgery and depression, and he didn't support you through that either. Remember when you were so depressed you ate food you hated and hung out with people you didn't like? You're repeating that with your boyfriend. You're with him because he's familiar and because you're punishing yourself. You have low self-esteem and are using his treatment of you to gauge your own self-worth. You're worth more than this asshole. Dump him. Stay in therapy. And work on building good friendships before you try a new relationship. If you were broken up at the time, what happened is none of his business beyond what you want to be his business. If that was where this stopped, he would already be out of line. The fact that this other man raped you and your BF is calling it cheating because you struggled to talk about what happened is violently inappropriate. His comments about how he will not support you are unacceptable. At no point does what you describe qualify as cheating. And I say this as someone who does largely believe that the people in the relationship define cheating, not people outside of it. And everything he has done sounds like something you should never have to tolerate. I'm seconding your psychologist. You deserve better than what your BF is willing to offer you. He is making this the most traumatic thing to ever happen to you about him. Of course, you getting raped was not cheating. I'm so sorry.
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. Epicaricast is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.